Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. We are in Vegas still, and today I have with me Jeff Cohen. Hello Jeff, how you doing?
Doing great, Danny. Thanks for giving me a couple minutes.
Not a problem. You have a series of software companies. Do you want to give a bit of a background of what you do and the kind of products that you have?
Yeah, so Seller Labs has 4 technologies. Feedback Genius is probably our oldest technology that helps with managing feedback and product reviews. Scope is our keyword research reverse ASIN lookup tool. Ignite is our sponsored ad management tool. And Quantify is our data analytics tool.
Fantastic. Okay, so one of the things I'd like to touch on actually, if we talk about, what's happened recently or over the last few months, is that we've seen that customers now can opt out. And with Feedback Genius, you show which orders have opted out. So it makes it a bit more transparent and easier for sellers to understand what's going on. So with that transparency there, which is fantastic, I don't think not all the other softwares cover that. What would you do in this situation now? Obviously, because we're reaching less people, what metrics should be focusing on now with the opt-outs?
Yeah, so I want to be clear.
Yeah.
The way to look at the number of opt-outs that you have is to use what we call our global blacklist feature.
Yeah.
And so you have to auto-forward your email to an email address that we provide to you, and then we put them on your blacklist so that you can see the number of opt-outs that you're getting.
Yeah.
And so what we as sellers have to do now is really focus in on the emails we can send.
That's right.
And so the first thing I tell people is to read your subject line. So Seller Labs actually shows you in Feedback Genius, we show you the click-through rate and the open rate.
Yeah.
Click-through rate is not something that is on by default because Amazon has implemented a pop-up warning.
Yeah.
And so the only way to track click-through rate requires that pop-up warning to come on, and so a lot of sellers don't like that. But open rate happens no matter what. And so by being able to look at your open rate, you can start to see a baseline, and we provide you a benchmark of the industry and your product and your emails to that benchmark.
Yeah.
The best way to improve open rate, bar none, no questions asked, is your subject line.
Yeah.
And so if you can connect with your buyer using your subject line, that's going to increase your open rate. And then you need to give them a meaningful message about the product that they purchased and the relationship that you're trying to build with them before you ask them for a review. If your first message is asking for a review, you're starting off on the wrong foot.
Okay, let's break it down. Let's go back to the opening rates. As we said, very important. Not all the softwares have open rates. So basically, without an open rate, you're flying blind, aren't you? So you really need to optimize for the open rate to understand, because only a percentage of the buyers are actually going to see those mails. And I think not everyone's aware of that. So going back to the subject line, give me some examples. Are we talking about short, snappy question, 3 words? Is it a question? Using emotion? What would you suggest?
Okay, so what I tell people is we have hundreds and thousands of different products.
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to just say this is the subject line.
No, I've been saying give them parameters.
So what you have to do is you have to see how your product connects with the customer that you're talking to. So I recently did a video with Chad Rubin from Skubana.
Yeah.
And we actually analyzed his Feedback Genius account. And his email was, "Hey, what's up? Want to chat?" ?
Yeah.
And his open rate was only like 10%. But he had a product that was a coffee type product or a vacuum type product. And and the question that he should be asking was, "Your vacuum doesn't suck, does it?" Or something like that. So you can be witty as long as you're being witty within the brand of the product that you have.
Yeah.
Right? When you're not witty within the brand of the product that you have, you don't engage.
Yeah.
Simple question. Read your subject line and ask yourself, is this something I would open?
Yeah.
And if you can't answer that honestly, then you need to work on your subject line.
Yeah. Excellent. And in terms of content, are we talking long form? We're talking short content? Is it funny? Is it, what kind of thing we're going to go back to product verticals here. So we've got a serious product. Is it a serious message?
Yeah, I think it again goes back to who's your customer, what's your voice, what's your tone.
Yeah.
And if your tone has that, then you can bring that in. But what you want to do is you want to bring value. Yeah. And no matter what tone you work on, you want to bring value. And if you can bring value to the customer, you create what's called a reciprocal relationship where the customer wants to now do something for you.
Yeah.
And so you can't just demand or assume that a review is something that you're going to get.
Yeah.
It's something that you have to earn. And you earn that by giving the customer more than what they were expecting.
Yeah.
So, for instance, remind them of a warranty that your product has. Remind them, give them instructions on how to install or use the product, how to clean the product. Give them something of value without asking for anything in return. We're in Vegas, right? Every casino has 2 sets of doors to walk in. If I walk through the first door and I hold it open for you, what do you do when you get to the second door?
You return that.
You return the favor. That's right. I don't open the door for you and go, I'm holding the door open for you. Please hold open the next door for me. So it's a natural relationship that we have as human beings.
Isn't it? It's like mirroring.
It's a natural relationship we have as human beings to reciprocate when someone's nice to us.
Yeah.
I bought you dinner last night. You're going to offer to buy me dinner tonight, right? And that doesn't always happen, but that's the case. And so what we want to do as sellers is create that relationship so that we increase the likelihood that that reciprocal relationship occurs for us in our business.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, and in terms of moving on away from emails, let's talk about PPC. You guys have entered the space now. Amazon took in 1.3 billion last year in sponsored ads. What kinds of trends are you seeing with Ignite?
Yeah, so I think that the first trend is that more and more people are using sponsored ads and now headline search now that it's available to more and more sellers. I think that, there's a couple mistakes that a lot of sellers make.
Yeah.
One is they don't set up their keywords properly. They'll either create conflicting keywords so that they start to dilute their impressions. So I like to use the word apple slicer, right? So if my keyword is apple slicer and stainless steel apple slicer, those are actually conflicting keywords because apple slicer in a broad sense will also become stainless steel apple slicer. So that's the first mistake a lot of sellers make is in that keyword. And the second mistake they make is in their campaign organization. How many ASINs do you add to a campaign? And again, right, I know you're going to ask, well, what's the right answer? The right answer is that there's many different ways to do it. And what you have to do is you actually have to write this out on a piece of paper and look at, is your ASIN a complementary ASIN, a variation of the ASIN? Are you going to run campaigns that are based on events of how you would use that product? Or are you going to do it based on the brand? Or are you going to do it based on the competitors' brands? And once you figure out all those different buckets that you create, you can then figure out how to create your advertising campaigns, which then roll into you creating the right keywords, which then goes eventually to you optimizing. Optimizing is actually the easiest part.
Yeah. Excellent. And in terms of Retail Global, what are you doing here? You've got a lot of workshops and stuff. Do you want to give us a breakdown of those?
Yeah, so I do a workshop at Retail Global every year called Amazon Masterclass, where we work with high-performance brands and Amazon sellers to give them next-level type of information. So that was on the first day of the event. Today I was a speaker sharing about how emerging brands are successful on Amazon, mainly using outside traffic and different advertising techniques.
Yeah. So do you want to just share a bit? What kind of traffic are you driving? Is it Facebook traffic to a landing page, doing discount codes?
Yeah, so I think this again goes back to it depends.
Yeah.
And so I think when you're talking about like private label sellers, a lot of them are using the Facebook traffic to push to offer codes.
Yeah.
When you get into larger emerging brands that have large Facebook communities or have large websites with email lists, they're able to build integrated campaigns to help drive their sales. So one of the examples I gave was a company called Death Wish Coffee. Death Wish Coffee has over 400,000 followers on their Facebook page, almost 200,000 followers on Instagram. They have a
Do you know what make you laugh? 2 weeks ago, I bought that off Amazon in the UK.
Did you?
So,
yeah.
So it's
they have one of the top 20 podcasts in the country, right? I mean, they have a massive audience, and so whenever they need to, they can use that audience to drive sales.
Yeah.
And so as brands, as we're building brands as sellers, right?
Yeah.
We all want to be big emerging brands. As we want to build these brands as sellers, we have to think about building our audience. And it's not just about building the audience for a single push. It's about building the audience for a sustained drive.
Yeah. Superb. Okay, well, look, let's leave that there. We'll get you on seller sessions in a few months. What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Yeah, jeff@sellerlabs.com.
And that will cover all the softwares, is
That
it?
covers all the software. Sellerlabs.com is the website. Jeff at Seller Labs. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn.
You're approachable, you're available.
Yeah. I'm approachable, I'm available, and I go to a lot of conferences. So if you see me,
And tell
just
them
go
about the
visit.
T-shirt as well.
I typically am wearing a Famous on Amazon shirt. It's kind of become my trademark over the last couple of years. And no, I have more than one, so I don't wear the same one every day.
Yes. Excellent. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Jeff, again, thank you for joining
Thank
us.